Ray, please join me in welcoming Jacob Thomas from Yale University.
My first experience with research was with this quality question, and I was confused then. I'm still confused, and I've reached a compromise where I never use the word quality, either in class or I try not to use it anywhere, just because I don't know what it means. So first of all, I wanted to thank Peter and Lori for a very nice conference. I feel a little having to come after Kathy and Ray, but I really enjoyed Kathy's talk because it was such a high-level attempt to untangle what is really a mess. And I also really liked the tone of optimism. There was hope. And since I'm the old guy today, I plan to be grouchy because old men are allowed to be grouchy, and I'm going to be grouchy. But I think you want to put it in context of what Kathy said. And I think that the message that it's an underlying and unobservable construct is important to keep in mind. My big concern is going to be, I think Kathy sort of, not exactly ended up, but she laid open the door to talk about this, which is that people, it's a nice term, it's very convenient, and so they use it for what they think it means. And then the person next to them, again, moves a little bit more. What I'm going to argue is that we're now in a position where there's some people that are going to define it as X, and there's another group of people who are going to define it as exactly not X. And so, conceptually, if they were all kind of feeling the elephant, we're still talking about an elephant. But I think accounting quality has gotten to the point where we're talking about an elephant and an ant or something completely the opposite. And so I worry at this point whether much progress can be made with the same labels to somehow build this unifying construct. Okay. I do want to give respect to Gene Imhoff because I came as a graduate way back in the early 80s, and he actually asked the question exactly as Ray raised it, which is there are a bunch of users out there, the analysts, and what are the benefits, what are the costs, and how does this decision get made in terms of quality and in terms of disclosure? And he had collected data first through a survey. He asked a bunch of analysts what they thought, 180 some large firms, and they were all asked to rank those firms based on accounting quality, and they said, the definition is up to you. We also had this other data on disclosure quality, and it was interesting. What did we find? First of all, the analysts actually agreed on accounting quality scores. There was substantial agreement across analysts. Accounting quality was not related to higher prices. So if it's related to valuation, it may be related in a more complicated way, but it wasn't the case that higher quality implied higher prices per dollar of earnings. Accounting quality was very strongly related to conservatism. So we had maybe like 7, 8 measures, the usual LIFO reserves and so on, but we also had pension assumptions, and we tried depreciation lives, we tried a whole bunch of things, and it was really remarkable how tight the connection was between analysts' estimate of quality and conservatism. Accounting quality is very positively related to disclosure quality. So if you think of both these as endogenous decisions, firms sort of choose, and we tried to figure out how firms chose what level of quality would be optimal and what level of disclosure would be optimal. And this is, I think, an important point that we didn't understand back then, is that accounting quality is negatively related to volatility and risk. I'll talk about this briefly. So, as I said, we tried to get into the endogeneity issue, which is what managers choose, and we tried hard, but the only consistent story that we could come up with was profitable firms had higher accounting quality, were more conservative, and so on, and they had higher disclosure quality. And it's, what's the endogeneity and how it's optimal for more profitable firms to disclose more and to be more conservative? I'm not sure what theory you would tell, but that was kind of the only thing that we could get in terms of consistent results. Okay, some conceptual issues. The reason why I talked about the correlation between quality and volatility is I think, at least in analysts' mind back then, there was this sense that long before you get to earnings management, if there's a firm that's in an industry or in a business where the underlying fundamentals are very volatile, then the earnings coming out of that firm are low quality. So that's the sense in which persistent may have been in their minds. And then, of course, this is, I'm just raising these questions, but is all earnings management bad, or is it only the opportunistic portion that's bad? And I think this question of unbiasedness, should that be a desirable goal? If it is, as you can see, it's going to run in conflict with the idea that conservatism is high quality. So I'm just going to start the possibility of saying, well, these things are going to start running in contradiction to each other. What about the level of disclosure? I think we talked about that before. And then, of course, what's the role of guidance in determining quality? All right, so why should I be grouchy? There isn't just one network here that's being built. There are at least two. And I'm worried that there may be even more than two. So if you can sort of go in terms of orthogonality in different dimensions, it's starting to get out of control. As I said, some of these networks seem to be negatively related. And I think this is one of my big problems, is that people are going to find something like governance quality or cost of capital or a bunch of other variables and correlate them with earnings quality. And the assumption is that that's the flow somehow. But obviously I'm worried about these measures of earnings quality, such as discretionary accruals and so on, basically capturing something else. And that's something else being related to governance. That earnings quality is not really the factor, that it's really something else because of the high correlation between earnings quality and things like industry membership, growth prospects, level of profitability, and so on. Okay, so this is what I decided to do. So here are some more conflicts. But what I had all my PhD students, 6 of them, go into the literature and calculate every earnings quality measure that was kind of in the literature so far for 22,000 or so firm years, starting with the late 80s, once the new cash flow format came out. And looked at correlations across measures, correlations between the quality measures and industry membership, correlation between the quality measures and ROE, profitability and growth and so on, and also variation across time. I haven't had time to digest all the results, but I was looking at them kind of at a general level. And yes, the quality measures will cluster. I think there's maybe 3 or 4 clusters that are coming out. And so there's level of accruals, there's level of discretionary accruals, there's volatility of accruals, the correlation between accruals and cash flows, conservatism, volatility, and so on. And so they sort of, some of these are like subclusters. I mean, some of the subclusters will finally end up being maybe 3 or 4 clusters. But the point is that they are clearly negatively related to other clusters. And again, my point is that how can you have quality be X and not X at the same time? We kind of have to choose. And this is the other point I said, that the results clearly show that these clusters are related to industry, they are related to fundamentals, and some of them vary over time. I don't know what to do with the vary over time, but the other 2 points, being related to industry and being related to fundamentals, I think has an important implication for people who use the measure as a right-hand side variable. That's it.